Alright, guys. So, I'm going to be talking about Captain America Stand. This was the first volume in J. Michael Straczynski's Captain America run. This was sent to me by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again for the comic, and as well as the other comics that are now in my collection, both and soon to be in the future. I could have worded that better. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to be talking the JMS Captain America run. I was very interested in. I was because JMS, he's basically had two straight bangers when it came to, Marvel Comics. Of course, his Spider-Man run that we all loved, his short-lived Thor run. His Thor run that basically got cut down because, well, he and Marvel kind of had a falling out. But now, JMS is back, and he took on a character that he's basically wanted to write for the longest time, Captain America. So this basically the comic isn't ongoing, but I'm going to be honest, it really does feel like this was meant to be a 6-issue miniseries. Like, this really was meant to be a 6-issue miniseries, but then it got changed to a ongoing, which I think is almost done as of this recording. But yeah. So this comic has two storylines. One, a lost one of Cap dealing with a new threat, and that is kind of he's encountered, because we also deal with a lost origin story for Steve Rogers, where we find out what was going on in Steve's life before he got the super soldier serum. This basically has it that this was him before he got his soldier serum. After his mom died, his dad is gone. But it's kind of weird because, it's kind of weird to see this comic. And I know originally in the comics that Bucky wasn't really introduced. I mean, the MCU, they basically say, oh yeah, him and Bucky were best friends. But you got to remember, in the original comics, Steve and Bucky didn't meet until World War II. So I know some people were like, well, where's Bucky? Well, yeah. Here he is now. So this evil, by the way, is a demon named Asmodai, who is trying to kill off agents of change, who are these great people who are going to change the world for the better. So Cap is dealing with a supernatural enemy in here. And, yeah. So what did I think of this book? Well, first off, the artwork we got to talk about, because the artwork in here, which is done by Jesus Zayas, is awesome for the first 2.5 issues, because, okay, for reference, the artwork slowly devolves. I don't know if Jesus Zayas had other projects, but here he is. Here's here's Zayas' work, and then it just devolves. It gets consecutively down a hill. Not to say this artwork isn't bad. The other artists aren't bad or anything. It's just that you see a massive dip in quality as this comic continues. And I gotta be honest, the comic really does feel like it was meant to be a 6-issue miniseries that just got extended in. I guess Straczynski was like, no, I want to tell more stories with Cap. Okay, I've told all my stories. But yeah, it really does feel like this was meant to be just a miniseries that just got extended, because it really just has an open-shut story, really. Anyway, so along with J. Michael Straczynski, you get J. Michael Straczynski isms, and if I may be so bold as to borrow one of those isms from Comic Pop, there's a lot of move the car, George moments in here. There are some straight up move the car, George moments where it's it doesn't help. It's just a lot of dialogue that doesn't go anywhere. The perfect example of this is in issue 2, where you see this beautiful image of oh, we're gonna get a great team up between Cap and Spider-Man. J. Michael Straczynski's writing Peter again, and they're gonna take on a secret plot from the Sinister Six. Awesome. No, none of that happens. Literally, Peter just breaks into Steve's apartment and is like, hey man, the Sinister Six are plotting to kill me. Can you come do a stakeout with me? And then it's something stupid like Doc Ock's cousin is in town and they threw a surprise party. Are you shitting me? That's it. That's the and Steve leaves. Like Steve leaves the whole time. There's also like this really dumb moment that keeps recurring where Steve is like, "Oh, I don't, it took me a while to like spiders, too many eyes." And Peter's just on this thing this whole time of like, "Really? 8 eyes? I don't have 8 eyes." Yeah. Fart. That's a great joke. It's so great. The comic does have a lot of great like JMS does his history. Like, JMS has done his history of, like, talking about, like, Madison Square Garden, where there was a Nazi rally. Funny, there was a recent one not too long ago. Let's move on. But yeah, there was a Nazi rally there. There was also, like, I think people seem to forget that there was, like, Nazi agents who had been sent to America, called the American Bund, to try to get America on Hitler's side in the war, or at least keep them neutral. That would, like, at worst, keep them neutral. At best, have them join the war on Germany's side to build sympathy there. However, the JMS also talks about, like, the mafia's running, the mafia, for those who don't know, the mafia ran a lot of interference against the Nazi party in America when they were the American Bund were trying to do a lot of damage to the society, to America's values. The mafia of all people were running interference enough to keep them from not being from being such a massive problem. And I do like the message of this book, don't get me wrong. It's a great message, and I thoroughly love how JMS talks about, like, how these monsters basically infiltrate people's lives through, like, saying, "Oh, it's not your fault, it's the immigrant's fault, or it's the black man's fault, or anything that doesn't look like you, it's all of their fault." And he basically talks about, like, how these strong men project themselves, and we see a lot of that, honestly. Not naming any names, but whatever. However, JMS really also doesn't have a great voice for Cap. I'm gonna be honest. Do I think he has a good voice? Yes. Do I think he would... there's just moments in here where it doesn't feel like Captain America, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like Cap. And also, like, there's just dialogue in here. This dude should never write for Doctor Strange. I'm just saying. This dude should never write for Doctor Strange in any way, shape, or form. I do think that, yeah, of course we're dealing with a demon, so of course we have Doctor Strange here. We really also don't get a whole idea of what Asmodai wants. I mean, these whole Agents of Change thing is weird, but really, like, it doesn't feel like a Captain America villain, if that makes any sense. Anyway, it's a decent enough book. I do feel like the other problem it has is that the story itself doesn't really start until, like, issue 3. The first 2 issues is more like backdrop, and we don't get the full story until issue 3. So the real story doesn't start till issue 3, where the first 2 issues are more like, talk about Steve's origin and other stuff, and just kind of slowly building to points. Yeah. Other than that, yeah. I do know that, like, there was a plot thread with AIM going on that doesn't go anywhere, but I imagine that plot line goes in the other 2 volumes. But yeah, I don't know, it's a great book. It's a good book. It's a decent miniseries, but I don't know if I'd want to continue with it, because this isn't JMS's best work. Honestly, I don't think this is some of his best work. It's good, but not great. If someone said, "Hey, I want to read JMS Marvel books, where should I go?" Immediately point them to Spider-Man. Immediately point them to Thor. Tell them to buy if you're curious for this one. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, and I am gonna leave off with, and it felt poignant reading this book, because in a few weeks we're going to have to be dealing with a headache for 4 years. So I just want to leave this message to you, is that, I know things are, looking pretty grim right now, but, we'll get through it. I think we'll get through it. Just wanted to leave off with that, little message of hope for you all. I know it's not much, but I hope it helps. Anyway, so if you've read Captain America Stand, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the multiverse.